Hello and welcome to this Total Pro vocal track tutorial series. This is part 3. I am your host and instructor, Marcus Unlimited. So let's take a quick recap of what we have covered so far. In episode 1, we built our initial track template for a vocal piece, and we brought in the proper way to route our effects up here through the send and return concept. And then in stage or episode part 2, we got into lyrics and lead sheet integration and why it can be so valuable to have a concrete blueprint of some type, even though lead sheets have some play on it, which is perfect for Reason. But in such an unlimited environment as Reason is, it's really good to have some kind of blueprint to keep us on track. And of course, we began our initial sound design through synthesizer programming. And now we have arrived at block mode. We're going to enter block mode, create the first block, and build a little section of the tune to hear where we're headed. Haven't added anywhere near the totality of our final result yet. And our Combinator synth drum kit, we are actually going to build from scratch. So you will get an in-depth on the Combinator in this tutorial. As you can see, very important that we broke these up into a multi-part series because these are already pretty huge. And they have to be. This is a intricate world of infinite possibilities in Reason. And here we go. Entering block mode, as easy as this, but what you can do with block mode, integrating it back with song mode, is certainly not simple. So let's go ahead and call our initial block 1 here. I'll tell you what. You know what I sometimes do, and I'm going to do it in this case too, is I'm actually going to leave block 1 alone. Okay, I'm going to come out here to block 2, and we're going to call this intro 1. Okay. In fact, let's go ahead and find out what our tempo is. So if we come up here and take a look at the sheet music, just on natural feel, we have something like so we kind of have that beat going there, and we're going to come in here and we're just going to tap that tempo out. So we're like and there we go. So we have something coming in there at 83, and I think we're pretty close. Let's take a listen to that. Let's turn on our click. Not recording for a second, just checking our feel. Feels pretty good. Okay, cool. So let's give ourselves a pre-count, and we're going to come over here and have a little funny delay happening here, so we'll see how well I can keep my timing, even though the keyboard isn't responding as lightning fast as it usually does with the ASIO setting. And if you have ASIO available, you do want to use that in your preferences, but I just want to make sure all of this stuff is getting back to the tutorial. So here we go. We have a little bit of a pre-count on there, 1 measure. So I'm going to be able to jump to my sheet music here, and we can go like this. Okay, cool. And we'll left a little leader on there since I'm switching back and forth between programs. Okay, cool. So pretty nice little one-take thing there. Let's jump in here. And again, that's the awesomeness about a lead sheet is we have I had a chance to, practice it a few times, and so we're not fumbling around here doing a bunch of takes and given 8 million different tracks that we have to choose from, even though we have that option available. So as far as our quantization, so I'm going to want to quantize some of this, and then there was something that kind of happened there that in our lead sheet, I felt led as I just had these chords. I had this little riff that came in mind, this little kind of baroque. So we had something like, so this is technically not written in there, but I had this neat little feeling there, and we'll go ahead and went with it. And that's the cool thing about lead sheets is you get the best of both worlds there. So let's come over here and let's go into our detailed edit mode. And I'm going to slide things around here so we can see them a bit better. So it looks like what I played there. Let's shrink things up here by going decrease track height. Actually, wait a second. I'm more concerned with our actual track horizontal. So let's come out here. And there we go. And now we can see our entire section. And you also can press this zoom to selection when we have a particular, for instance, I can select this entire area here. And there we go. It shows me that we're already there. So let's come in here and okay, so from here to here, I mean, I want it tight. Plus, we have our funny multi-screen app, little bit of a latency thing here. So let's go ahead and take this, and we're going to quantize this. So what were we looking at there? Oh, a bunch of 16th notes. Okay, so cool. We know what we need. We're going to need a quantize at 16th. Okay, so we had this area here selected. Let's see if these were all close enough to 16. Okay, and you know what? Now that I hear it, these might be 16s too. Let's see what we get. Nope. Thinking that they must be. Let's actually go way back to here. Let's leave those right where they're going to be 30 seconds. So we'll come in here, quantize this section, and looks like one of them had a little funny delay on it. So let's come in there. There we go. Okay, cool. And I like these two free without our quantize on it. And you're going to find there's a lot of things. I know there's a lot of piano pieces I've done for like my publisher, no quantize at all or whatever, just because there's a lot of rubato. You know, they talk about this, what that Chopin did where you intentionally play after the beat. But I mean, I definitely want this right, very, you know, again, we're paying an homage to Logic. And the vocals are already going to be pretty free, so I want this pretty tight and refined. So. Good. Okay, cool. So we're looking pretty good with that. Now I want to get into our Combinator. Let's of course do a little save there. Put a little something in there, and let's take a look at where we want to drop this at. We want to come out right here. Let's go into our utilities, and we want a Combinator. So we're going to come out here with this. And our Combinator, let's see. So let's go ahead and get, let's have for sure, we know we want a boom and a smack, okay? So we're going to come here down to our little open rack area of the Combinator, and let's go to our instruments, and we're going to choose one subtractor. But before we do that, very important, let's get our utilities, and we're going to bring a 16-2 in here, okay? And then we are going to bring in our instruments in this manner. So I'm going to come through here and bring in our instrument of the subtractor, okay? And you'll notice that it brought a subtractor in on the first line of the six-channel mixer. And we don't really want a big giant another mixer, you know. Sometimes it's still, with all these capabilities, it's good to think with some level of refinement, you know what I mean? That way you know where you're at when the track gets bigger and bigger. Okay, so and then we're going to come in here, and plus we can do some all kinds of interesting effects routings and everything like that anyway. So we're also going to come in here and drop another one, and I'm going to right click right on our little homage to tape there, genuine actual tape. We're going to come in here, instruments, subtractor, another one, okay? So let's go in, let's make sure we're on our first one here, and if we weren't, we can just move them around. And for this one, we could program one from scratch, but you've seen me do that on plenty of different tutorials, so we're going to do a mix of some bringing in some things I've already worked on, and as well as some new things. So I'm here, and I have my I've selected as a common folder I go to my actual huge catalog here, and I have this one here. This might be pretty severe, but it's a good one. I call this the cone breaker thump. Okay, so we're gonna bring this over right here and just drop this on our machine, and hopefully it's not too loud. No, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, there we go. So we have a pretty serious. And one thing I like about this one is it has some actual synth notes in there. So if we were following our um, either roots or the actual lower note prescribed by the after slash there. So what if I just went roots here? Pretty severe, pretty severe. So it's almost more of like it's an interesting thing. It's like a tuned bass drum. Okay, so we could use this one. Let's check out this one. Okay, so subdued shrapnel, and these are my custom. And because we're in the Combinator mode, we're picking up some of the bass guitar here. And you know what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually mute this, and let's come over to this guy. No, 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 no. There we go. Okay, and it dropped these in. I want to switch these around here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, if they come in an order that you don't like, you can just switch them back around again. So now, there we go. Now we have our bass. I'm going to drop this one here. And we'll affect this one in just a moment. So we have a pretty decent synth drum kit. And we have velocity affecting. So I whacked that one and we really got a clip there. But remember, these are all our starting points. Let's take a look here. Just a few others really quickly. So this one has some tuning to it. And I kind of like that. We're going to stick with this one. I like this one because as I play the keyboard, it actually interacts, you know, as I head up. We have some other aspects of the resonant filter cued in, pulling up some artifacts. And this one here has a sweet secondary runoff there, okay? So there we go. Now let's take a look at our snare here. And for this, so we don't get in that confusion again, I'm going to mute this and unlock our second. And let's take we have a smack it snare here. And where are we at? There we go. Can bring this into our second subtractor. That's pretty good. And I like it. It has some. There's a little bit of pitch tuning going on in the background there. Okay, great. So now, with this concept in mind, I think we were saying that I like this. There's an A way up here that I like, so we're going to split this keyboard because I want there's another A down here. And you don't have to play A, but I just like the way it came in as far as the tuning for these. So I want this A for this one. So let's turn everything on now so that we can hear what we're doing. And now we're going to go into our actual Combinator key mapping here. So there we go. There's both of them. But I don't want both of them here. Let's go to our bass drum, and we are going to take our. Now what I'm doing here is I'm clicking on the high key number and just literally moving my mouse down, and you'll see it's reducing our actual range of applied possible notes. There we go. That has our splotch. Now I'm going to move over to the smack it snare here, and I want to do the opposite there, so I'm going to go to its low range and pull this up through here and come to about, I think it was this A right here. nice. So we can get into some cool stuff there. So we may have multiple combinators coming in here. We will see, okay? So this sets up our basic combinator. We have a nice split going on here. And I made it such a wide split, and this is one of the great things about using a custom synth drum kit, is sometimes we have our drum kits laid out in the good old MIDI standard, which is totally cool, where we literally have a bass drum on, like, say, a C, and then like a rim shot on a C sharp, just all tight in one octave. That's very cool. That gives you a kit at your fingers. But with the synth, you can get in there and create a synth that has a little bit of some moving resonant filter or some changing pitches as you move across the keyboard. We're starting to put some work in, so let me give you a Control S there. Okay, so, and this one definitely has that, so I don't want everything bunched up because I want to play with some little, you hear how different, this is a really high A up there. And then here's one a couple octaves beneath, and then you hear they all have a little bit of a different aspect to them. So that's our bass drum way down there. And this one has a great one. This is the A. I'm playing A3. A here. There's A2. There's A1. There's A0. Good. Okay, so nice. So let's see if we can drop these in, okay? And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play a beat. That way we have something to work with. Okay, so we can just kind of let it loop there while we get this going. So it looks like, let's see, click is set up, we're good, and I'm going to come in here. Here we go. Okay, cool. So funny latency, hang tight with that. That's what it takes right now. So we're going to go here and let's back this up to 0. And there we go. Pressed our zoom selection. It just grabbed what we were just working on there and shrank our window. And we have quite a span there, so I'm going to use the zoom out for our horizontal so that we can look at both of those, okay? Dropped in that octave there just because I want to get at some of those different artifacts, okay? Definitely, especially since we have an extra latency happening through the tutorial screens, I'm going to go to this guy right now and immediately give us a quantize. But you know what? I want this so firmly grounded. I want this sounding like a robot is just smacking this thing, because it is the robot of, what is it? Logic. There we go. So I highlighted our notes up here. That gives me the whole section. And there we go. Robot tight. Okay, cool. So when we went robot tight, I got the main sound that I want. However, this guy right here, and I double click to enter into my specific note edit mode. This guy right here, I want our grid. Oh, it's set up perfectly for us, 16th notes. I want to move this so that we have a little bit of a jump beat, okay? So let's come back to here. So that was pretty nice, actually. So I kind of like that, huh? This about right there. Now I want this late. There we go. So we have a mix here of some live playing as well as kind of grid notation. We have everything going. We have ancient old school notation. We have the jazz world in our lead sheet, and this is what it takes. You want to go extraordinary, you got to step out of the ordinary. So we're combining all this stuff here. And now let's take a listen to our Okay, good. Now we need some logical sounding hi-hats of some type, okay? So let's go ahead and back to our combinator here. I'm thinking we should have, now the way we can use our effects in this 6 unit, there's a million things we can do. Number one, we still have, since we laid in our effects the right way up here, we're going to call this First off, let's name this. We're going to call synth. Actually, since there's all kinds of sys, let's go subtractive drum kit 1, in case we add a second one. And I wrote the word subtractive just so that when we're up in the mixer, okay, so we can instantly see where we're at in terms of our actual, going back to the old version way of doing that. Okay, so we can see immediately, we're going to have a bunch of things coming up as subtractor, and that subtractive will just give me a quick little visual nod there. Okay, so let's take a listen to our track with some compression on it, of course. Back to 0. There we go. Now, this is what I was talking about, the unison. I like that harsh electronic sound there. If I click on the unison, for a sound like this, it's going to take a lot of the smack out of it, and we don't want that. So here's the unison. Had a neat effect, but you hear how it rounded the sounds out so much. It also pumped up the volume, so that unfairly made it instantly sound, ooh, you know, I'm feeling it more. But it rounded the sounds out more than I wanted, so we'll just barely touch it with the unison. You know, we don't want to do too much of that. So there's a few different things. Let's go for our Metropolitan Opera, just nice, you know, nice little something, nice little tail on that. So. Okay, let's go ahead and come on down to here. I'm going to move this and just close this. I'm bringing in our end there so that we have a nice, clean, tight ending of that. Let's see where our little end cue is, because in block mode, end cue works as a pretty sweet loop anyways. There we go. Now what's amazing though is the bass sound on this. We may go full organ on this, which is a little, that's unique, but remember, we're already doing like a English sonnet form to our lyrics and everything. Normally, of course, you would bring in a different bass sound and all that stuff, but I actually want like someone has their hands on an organ and they're playing too. So you know what I'm going to do is, and remember we have our beautiful lead sheet to check back in with here. I'm going to select the organ, and then I'm going to bring in a new note lane. In fact, I'm going to bring in a few just in case I want to fly some other stuff in, okay? So let's take a look at what we're actually looking at here. Let's go close to edit menu. We don't need this off here. It's just going to confuse us. Let's bring remember the extra tail I had to have with those switching programs. We don't really need that. Let me come up here, and we'll drop the bass. So that's fine here. So we are kind of like this, okay? Let's see what happens when we do. Let's just stay on the actual. I'm going to stay on. Let's see. Should we go roots or lows? Let's try the let's try roots. Okay, let's try roots. So, and that's the cool thing about lead sheets is you can experiment with the bass picking up the lows, you know, the built over note, so to say, or you can just go. I'm just going to look at this very first letter here. Little mental exercise too, like looking at all these. Oh, I'm just gonna grab that one. Just grab that one. Okay, cool. So let's come back here and let's see if I can get this. Okay, so we're gonna come over here and so I'm gonna switch hands here really quickly, and there we go. love it. Okay, what's funny is on one of these when I was trying to tell myself which things to read and not, right here, I believe I went for the low instead of the root as I was trying to pick these off on the fly. I'm like reading this, but actually trying to interpret. Okay, play something that you're not actually seeing. You know, like choose from these things. I love the way I sounded though. Like the result was, I was like, oh, there's a cool little part, and they're both harmonically absolutely correct. You know, either way for what we're doing, either one works, and I just happen to like. So again, cool thing about using all these worlds. Should we do? Let's see. I want to see how much moves in here first. Let me bring this up, and if we get too much movement when I quantize this style, so we're going to go in here and we have all this selected. I don't want to see too much movement here. Oh, that's right. We have our full selection there. Let's go. There we go. Okay, good, good. Quantize at 8. Can't wait to lay this one in here. Is going to be like cool. Okay, so now let's come on back to where were we at here? We're in our block 1 intro. Things are good, and this is where all our notes are. So now a quick little save. We've got our first combinator going. I'm going to add one more thing so you can see the combinator doing its thing again. Let's come here and scroll down here, get to our combinator. Let us add our effects for the combinator. Okay, now, little bit of experimentation is going to come in here. We're going to bring this here, and let's do an effect of the scream distortion. Okay, so let's flip this around, and beautifully, I right-clicked on our auxiliary, and it auto-patched it in there. And better back off this master here because this is really going to whack us. Let's give it a shot. Cool. So anyways, kind of pre-setting this up here before we run sound in because I don't want it to hit us too hard. Let's, in fact, I want to hear just our bass drum, okay? So this is the auxiliary effect that we just added by going right-click on auxiliary return. And as you can see in the back here, it patched in everything that we need there. Currently have it on post fader. That's fine for this right now. And we're going to come up here to our auxiliary. And so see effects within effects, and this is one of those special things we want. Bringing on some scream here. There's a few things we could do, and I think I want to go some basic things there. You know what I want to do is I want to come down to tape is pretty strong, but I think I want to come in with I like digital because it kind of crunches the bits there a little bit. Let's hear what we have. Cool. We're off to a good start. Now let's go ahead and bring in, I have this one hi-hat, really unique type of hi-hat I brought in once. There's a lot of ways to bring in hi-hats, but I really want this straightforward logic one here. So right here on the tape of 3, I'm going to right click and come in with our instruments, and I'm going to go subtractor, And we have our subtractor here, but I want this one to go to my own custom library, and you should have your own custom library too, even if it's just a few patches at first. And forget where it's at here, so I'm going to type hi, and just the letters HI. There we go. There it is, the swirling, the swirling. Okay, so let's bring this over to here, and this comes here. Okay, let's see what's going on here. So we have this. Okay, so I'm starting with my own. First off, let's get our key isolated there by going into our. We see we have our hi-hat swirling here. Let's get it way past everything. Let's go to our snare first and limit our snare to a high of. Where are we going to come in about? I want a couple octaves of it. Okay, so. Good. Couple octaves of the snare for now, and then let's come into our hi-hat, and we're going to raise the low end, get it way past these other ones, and we could put it right there in the middle. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that, okay? So we're going to come in right there, and bring our high down. There we go, right in the middle of things. Good, 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 good. Okay, so we can run with our basic here, but you know what I want? How is this working with our there we go. Ooh, nice. Interesting little artifact showed up. We can do some panning. How about to there for right now? Just no big deal. Okay, so we have our okay, and we have our amplitude running pretty fast there. We could also do. So this little LFO here is running at 4/4. This means once per measure, it's kind of doing a little bit different change there. Okay, and this isn't our fast one. The thing that's making that rattlesnake sound there is the actual this second LFO, which is set to maximum amount. It's tweaking the amp, modulating the amp at a very high rate of 103. So let's come in here and see if we can lay this guy in. Okay, let's use an E since it's the fifth of the A, just for kind of thoughts and memories and stuff. Definitely want some more tracks here. So again, we selected our drum kit there. Let me give done, and they're not showing up just because we have this scroll down there. So let's come in and drop our hi-hat. Okay. Okay, cool. So before we quantize anything there, where are we at with some notes there? Let's come in. I think we were here. There we go. You know what? I'll tell you what. I think I want this to come at on the and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I want it to come in on that and there. So let's drop this. Let's drop this out, and we're going to come and do this again. Easy to do. Forgot where our split was. Here we go. Awesome. Okay, cool. And those were right on the 8s. So, see? Good. Good, good, good. Let's check it out. Okay, cool. Pretty sweet little first block there. And again, we're setting this up for maximum benefit of the tutorial, so we sacrifice a little bit of our ASIO, and the final clean version we'll set all that up. But right now we just have like the full, Microsoft is trying to map the sounds and all that, and so that's where that's at. Okay, so very cool. Although we're thankful for the technology and all that, it's very cool, very cool. So let's bring the scream up here just so that it's not in our way. And what do we have here? Pitchwise, so hi-hat, there's our bass drum, and let's put them in order, okay, just for visual. So on our mixer we have bass drum, snare, the swirling hi-hat. So let's move this bass drum this way. Remember, when we're going to have like a truckload of instruments in here and everything, I want to just think really logically that everything's in the same way. So we're going to come here and bring the snare up to here. There we go. So mixer says bass drum, snare, smack it snare, and hi-hat, and our directive, there's bass drum, snare, hi-hat. There you go, some type of order. So it could also be the other way around. And this one, we may actually 86 this later, but I wanted to get some kind of grid in there. Plus, the thing that I like bringing a scream in right for the drums is we get a nice, very obvious EQ to work with first, and we can also start tweaking these interesting digital effects. Just out of curiosity, let's go. This one always has an interesting property. Just brought it to fuzz. So, anyways, I suppose when some of you saw me bring in the subtractors, you were like, how is this going to get some sort of rough electronic? Okay, as you can see, one of the cool things about having these little synth drum sounds with unique artifacts in it is when you start playing around with something that splits up and shoots these artifacts all around, such as distortion, especially this wild thing, which is totally awesome. It's been in here for several versions of the program now. In fact, I used to do something like this with old funny, like way back in the days, and it was just too exotic for people's thinking or whatever. I would take like a guitar distortion thing or a really horrible old guitar amp and kind of overload the drum machine through it, and just to me it sounded great. And I see it became like a popular thing later. But when I remember when I was originally doing it, people were like, you can't do that. No. It's like that baby on that cartoon, you know what I mean? So oh no, you can't. Okay. Okay, cool. So very good. So that concludes this episode, which is part 3. Let's take a look at where we are at. Block mode, first block and Combinator synth drum kit is complete, but I won't check that X until we're into the next one for sure, okay? And we just recorded this part through to here where the little hand is, right there. And now we want to start working on our second block, which will probably be, I think, this area here that we have marked off. Okay, so part 3 complete. We will see you and hear you on the next one.